Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're digging into something absolutely fundamental, the constitutional articles that literally give the Indian parliament the power to change the very map of the country. So let's start with a big question. Is India's political map completely set in stone? You might think so, but the answer is a huge no. And the how and the why, well, it's all written right there in the first 4 articles of the Constitution of India. These articles are incredible. They don't just define the nation, they actually give Parliament the power to completely reshape it. All right, so first things first. Before we can even talk about changing the map, we have to understand how the Constitution defines India in the first place. And for that, we're heading straight to Article 1. Now pay close attention to the wording here because it's so important. Article 1 first gives us 2 names, India, that is Bharat. Then it says it shall be a union of states. Notice it doesn't say a federation of states. And that phrase, union of states, wasn't just picked out of a hat. Dr. Ambedkar himself explained this was a very deliberate choice. It means 2 crucial things. 1, the Indian Union isn't the result of some agreement between the states. And 2, and this is key, no state has the right to just pack up and leave. And just to put some numbers on that, right now, that union is made up of 28 states and 8 union territories. You can see the breakdown right here. These are the constitutional building blocks that, altogether, form the India we know today. So, if you're ever looking for the official, definitive list of every single territory that makes up India, where do you look? Well, you don't actually find it in the main articles. For that, you've got to flip to the schedules at the back of the Constitution. The first schedule is basically the official ledger, listing every state and union territory by name. But here's where it gets really interesting. Check out that third point. The territory of India isn't just what we have now. The framers of the Constitution were thinking ahead. They included a provision for any territories that India might acquire in the future, whether that's through a treaty, a purchase, or some other means. Okay, so that idea of acquiring new territory leads us perfectly into our next section, Article 2. This article gives Parliament the actual power to act on that third point we just saw. It's how new territories can formally be added to the Union. Now, the one thing you have to lock in here, and this is super important, is that Article 2 deals only with territories that are not already part of India. It gives Parliament the power to admit or establish new states from the outside. You can think of it as the constitutional front door, the welcome mat for new territories to join the country. And we have a perfect case study for this, the story of Sikkim. See, Sikkim wasn't originally part of India. It was a protectorate. But things changed, and it sought a closer relationship. This happened in 2 steps. First, in 1974, the 35th Amendment created this really unique status called an associate state. Then, just a year later, in 1975, the 36th Amendment brought Sikkim in completely as India's 22nd full-fledged state, a classic example of Article 2 in action. All right, so that's how you add new land from the outside. But what if you want to change the map inside India? Well, for that, we need to look at Article 3, which hands Parliament some truly mind-boggling powers over the states that already exist. And this slide lays out the difference perfectly. If there's one distinction you absolutely have to remember, it's this one. Article 2 is for the outside coming in. Article 3 is for rearranging the furniture that's already in the house. And when I say rearranging the furniture, I really mean it. The power here is massive. Parliament can literally create a brand new state by carving it out of an existing one. It can make a state bigger or make it smaller. It can change the borders. It can even just change a state's name. It is a complete toolkit for redrawing the internal map. And look, this is not just some dusty old constitutional theory. This power gets used all the time. A fantastic example is the year 2000. In that one year, 3 new states were created. Chhattisgarh was carved out of Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh was separated from Uttar Pradesh, and Jharkhand was formed from Bihar. All of this was done using the powers right there in Article 3. So, we've established what Parliament can do. But what's the actual process? How does this all happen on paper? Well, that's where Article 4 comes in. It's the instruction manual that connects these powers to the rest of the Constitution. Okay, now this is a really crucial procedural detail, so listen closely. Article 4 makes it clear that any law passed to change the map under Articles 2 or 3 is not considered a formal, capital C, constitutional amendment. This means it can be passed with just a simple majority, like a regular law. But, and it's a big but, that same law must include changes to 2 other parts of the Constitution, The first schedule to update the list of states, and the fourth schedule to adjust how many seats each state gets in the Rajya Sabha. So when you pull back and look at all four of these articles together, Article 1 defining the union, and then Articles 2, 3, and 4 giving Parliament the power to change it, they paint a very, very clear picture about the fundamental nature of the Indian state. And this quote on the screen, it sums it all up beautifully. An indestructible union of destructible states. What does that actually mean? Well, it means India, the nation, the union, is permanent and indivisible. No state can just decide to secede, but the states themselves, their borders, their names, even their very existence, they are not guaranteed to be permanent. Parliament has the ultimate power to change them. And this all leads us to a fundamental question about India's political character. This massive centralized power to remake the states is exactly why India is so often described as quasi-federal, a federation with a very strong central government. Understanding this delicate balance of power, this tension between an unbreakable union and its breakable states, well, that is absolutely essential to understanding the Indian political system.